Ready? Yes, sir. Good morning. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Before we get started, let me cover some information about our role as a board and in the order, for today's meeting. We're the 2025 Board of Equalization and Review for Union County, and we have been appointed by the county commissioners to hear any and all taxpayers with respect to concerns and complaints regarding the valuation of their property for tax purposes. Property owners appearing before the Board of Equalization and Review have the right to a fair and equitable hearing. The Board of Equalization and Review has been charged with ensuring that the proper legal principles have been applied in a valuation dispute for tax purposes. So when we start the meeting today, the format, Madam Clerk, to my right will call, the taxpayer, and then the county office will locate the property on the monitor so everybody's looking at the same thing. And at that time, you will present your information to the board. After you present your information, members of the board will have the opportunity to ask questions, of you. At that time, then you'll have a seat, and then the county will present their information. Same thing, the board will have an opportunity to ask the county any questions. When that piece finishes, we'll give an opportunity to both the taxpayer and the county for any final questions. Please remember that on any questions, if you would direct those questions to the chairman. If you have any sales data, we need to make sure it's prior to 1/1/25, since that is the date of the property reevaluation for the county. If for any reason that the case is tabled, you'll be notified when it will be reopened, and then the taxpayer will be notified of the board's decision in writing. Normally, after we hear all the cases today, then we'll go into the deliberation phase. So you're welcome to stay for that phase as well. By statute, the burden of proof is on the taxpayer to demonstrate that the assessment is erroneous. Only individual taxpayers or licensed residential or certified real estate appraisers licensed to do business in North Carolina may express an opinion of value of real property. No other persons, whether attorneys in fact, attorneys at law, or corporate representatives, are entitled to express an opinion of value of real property. So before we get started, if everybody could silence their cell phones, and any questions? If none, Madam Clerk, if we could, from what I understand, the first taxpayer on the agenda has not shown. So why don't we move to the second one to give that one more time to get here, possibly? Correct. Okay.
All right, good morning. We will start with what is scheduled to be hearing number 2, parcel number 05104053A, and the taxpayer's name is Springer Charlotte Roth, IRA.
Okay.
What page is that?
It's in the second grouping back here. Okay. Yeah, second. I'm assuming, yeah, that's the second. Bear with me just a minute here.
No, that's correct.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
You okay?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
if we would have a moment for the appraiser to locate the property for the,
true. Okay. I thought that's what was, okay, go ahead.
he was going to describe where it was.
Okay.
Where y'all were located.
Sorry about that.
Sure, no worries, sir. So I've expanded out just a little bit. I'm sorry, gentlemen. My name is Nick Parker. I'm an appraiser at the tax office. I've expanded out on the map just to give you reference, but we're at the bottom of the county by the Lancaster line. And that is Providence Road. And we're looking at Huey Road, which is, as you can see, it's highlighted in blue, the parcel is, and that's basically the last road before you go out to the edge of the county there.
Got it?
So I was shocked when I got my valuation, as I'm sure many were. For one, I have a 22-year-old mobile home that is, you can buy a new one and have it put in for less than the value that this showed. So I thought, oh, well, that has to be wrong. But Mr. Parker explained that that doesn't have anything to do with the value of the home, that the home is valued based on sales of other homes, mobile homes or not, and according to my acreage, would be adjusted. So I just want to kind of go over what I understand the rules are and if I understand them correctly. So we're supposed to look at no sales after or as of January 1 forward.
Right.
And the better comps would be within the last 4 or 5 months of 2024. And we're really not supposed to go back much further than 2024. Is that right?
I can let the county respond to that, but not necessarily. It just
Okay.
depends upon the quality of the data. Can the county speak to that? I mean, some
You're cor-
areas you're going to
you're-
have just an abundance of sales and you're
You're
going to have
correct,
that.
Dutch.
Right, okay. So
Okay.
it has to do with the quality of data
Okay.
and the volume of sales.
And we're using that data, the sales price of those properties, as pretty much a guideline for whatever algorithms you use to calculate the county value, is
Yeah,
that?
you'll need to address that.
Oh,
to
that's
me.
right,
Okay.
I'm sorry. So the county has some algorithms that they use to value all the property in Union County,
Well,
based on sales price.
they're getting and pulling comparable sales as well. Let's say, so the county has comparable sales to base their value on.
Okay,
Just like if you hired an appraiser to appraise your property, they would have comparable sales too. Some of them may be the same, some of them could be different.
okay, and so my confusion was, if you have a sale of a property within 3 or 4 months of January 1, 2025, do you not use that sale as the comp?
It could be used providing it is comparable. You could have something more recent, but it still might not be as comparable as something that the county could have that's 7 months prior.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
it's
so
gotta
this is
be-
where I get very
Yeah,
confused,
and
but,
comparable meaning the most similar,
okay,
okay, not necessarily just the date.
okay.
The
Thank
date's a
you.
part of it, but it's, yeah,
Okay.
okay.
So I've got information, I don't have answers, and I'm not even sure what my value should be. I had proposed a value in my appeal based on what an old mobile home would be valued, and I know that's wrong. So I know that I have to pretty much go with what the county has valued and given a comp for. So I understand that part, so
Right.
that the value I put into the appeal, I don't expect that,
Yeah.
just so you know.
And I can be corrected on this, but we hear a lot of appeals when it comes into mobile homes. And in this case, I mean, that mobile home is treated as real property, not personal property. And I'm sure you've heard that
Yes,
already.
yes, but they're just, manufactured versus,
Okay, I get it.
custom. Okay, so I have, you have the city comps, right?
We should have a copy of everything that you provided and everything the county provided.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so this morning, I was working with Jody Hoffman, and I was working with Jamie Leggett, who Mr. Parker knows and kind of respects, and I was hoping to get some numbers from her, but it didn't happen. So this morning, early, I pulled some numbers from 3 comps, and I have that here, and I have the county comps listed, and then my 3 for appeal considerations with pictures. And this is for,
So we do not have copies of that. Has the county had a chance to review that as well?
I just did it this morning.
Okay.
I gave the comps that Jody Hoffman provided, and her method
Well, wait a minute.
Her method is different, and I don't even know if we can look at it, because I think what she did was valued an average price based on all of the Zillow, Realtor, CoreLogic, Redfin.
See, I'm trying to, yeah, the county, and the ones that are highlighted, appeal consideration, those are the comps they pull.
No, sir, those are the ones I pulled this morning.
Right, that's what I mean, the ones that were pulled by you.
But pulled by me, right. And the county comps, we have the acreage, which I have more acreage, except for the one that I did this morning that has more than I do. And the date it was sold, and the difference between that sales price and the value assigned for this new reevaluation. And that was what really confused me. You know, how can you have a $90,200 lower valuation from a sales price that was in June of 2024?
Right.
It makes no sense to me, but I'm just here today to understand it.
Right. We only have one copy, I think, of this to look at. The county's got a copy. If y'all had a chance to.
No, we can't, we'd have to research those three sales.
Yeah.
To see if they're even comparable.
Right, because there's no dates on them. Well, no, there we go.
There are some
There are
dates on it,
dates
but we
on it.
just don't know what the properties are.
Yeah. Not with the cover sheets, the same, there's sales tax, and I think that cover sheet should be. Give us just a second.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Take your time. I must have spent hours looking at this. I'm trying to understand it.
One question for you. Are you looking at this that you have, most all these other comps have 1 acre, which the county seems to be saying is the base lot size, because that's what you have to have septic.
Right.
And then you have 4 more acres that shouldn't be valued at the same price. Is that part of what you're saying?
Well, we've had a conversation, and basically, and I think it somewhat shows this, like the .92 acres is $52,391.30 per acre, and then the larger one, 1.72, is $32,383.72 per acres. This is per the county's comps. So with me going up to 5.11, and most of that being in woods, not usable land, I would think that it would get lower, but
So I guess what I'm trying to say is your position could be that you would take 1 acre of land at whatever the price is for a lot, and then the rest would be excess and not valued at the same value.
I would think that would be fair personally, but I'm not on, I don't know how the algorithms work with it, so. But I do agree with that. I think that first acre that you need to put septic, and that's definitely more valuable than the additional. The additional is whatever you make of it, and that usually requires some back-breaking work or money,
See, if I've given everybody
Sorry
just
about that.
enough time. Mark, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay. Jimmy, have any questions for the taxpayer?
No, I got
County, okay. Tom?
No,
Any additional?
that was my one question. I wanted
Okay.
to see where she was on that. I'll probably ask the county the same question.
Okay. Bob?
Yeah, I don't know what to do with this.
Okay.
It's yours to keep. I just made extra.
Yeah, but it's gotta be that,
They've got a copy.
Let us, if you don't mind, let us hear from the county's point of view. If you would have a seat, and I'll have them
Absolutely.
speak, and then
Absolutely.
I'll circle back to you, okay?
And I had this other for you. This is what Jody Hoffman, who's a realtor in Waxhaw that I know very well, pulled for me. But she did a value of my property in 2025 recently, based on these different real estate sites. So is that just something that we can't use today, or?
We can look at it as long as it's dated 1/1/25 or prior.
It is.
We can't use it if
That's
it's
what I
after
thought.
that.
That's what you
Okay.
said, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yep. We'll hear from the county now. Is that?
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, just briefly, if we look at the first page in the packet, that just runs through the valuation summary real quickly. The county came up with a value, a recommended value of $398 in our original notice. In the appeal review, we kept it at the same value. And then after re-reviewing it for the board hearing, we also kept it at the current rate of $398. There's just two things I would like to point out briefly. If you go to the back of the packet, page 24 through 26, that's our analysis. The comparables that we used, there are 5 comparables. And we ended up with a recommended median of 451,600 based on the analysis. So our analysis indicated that we're actually low. We stayed at the recommended value of 398. And then I'd like to just share one other bit of information, which unfortunately Ms. Springer and I have been emailing back and forth over the last several weeks, and she was nice enough to provide me with an email Monday afternoon, which did not get in the packet, but she did provide me with the comparable analysis that her realtor showed. It's dated after, but the average over 8 different real estate sites was 391. So we're at 451. We have a determined value or a recommended value of 398, okay? And her realtor came in at 391, which I feel proves our point to begin with, is that we're being fair and equitable with a dollar amount of 398. Really, that's all I have for you.
Okay. Let me see if members of the board have any questions. Bob, you have any questions for the county?
I do not have any questions right now.
Tom?
I do have a question. Why? Most of these things are 1 acre or odd lots. They take a value of roughly $50,000. And then you got a 5 acre lot that you just multiplied by 5 effectively to get the land value. I just have an issue with the land value because it is, in my mind, looking at this, you got 1 acre of land at $50,000 and you got roughly 4 acres of land at whatever land's worth out that way, which is probably $10,000, something like that. That's the way I would look at this because it's excess land. And I've done one of these and fought it all the way to Raleigh on excess land, and I know the rules on this stuff.
Sure.
And I just have a real issue with the way this is done.
Sure. Do you want to take that?
Sure. The land on that road's all priced equitably, all the same. They're being treated fair and equitable. The first acre is, we do have a formula where the first acre does get more than the rest. It's not every acre is the same amount.
But you go to the appraisal, and it looks like all these other lots, you
These-
basically assign $50,000 for
That's the
roughly an acre lot.
Well, that's not how we value it. That's the adjustments on the appraisal for the adjustments. And these comparables that Nick pulled are, 6 acres. They're larger. They're not 1 acre lots.
Tell me this so I can understand this. What is the value of the structure and what is the value of the land?
Nick, can you help us with that? We have.
And that's the way all these things need to be looked at, is you gotta break it out and not do one uniform piece.
Well,
you have these type of issues.
we're treating it as one unit. We're not treating it as two different separate units. It is one unit, it is 5 acres in a mobile home, and we're comparing it to other mobile homes that are on yes, I see what you're saying, 1 acre. I was looking at the wrong column before when I mentioned 6 acres. They are on 1 acre. We're treating them as a whole, but then making adjustments for the units, just like any other appraisal would. So we are looking at it as a total value, but we're making adjustments to the different components to bring it back
Well,
comparable.
that's what I'm asking for, is the component part to get
This
to the whole.
188.5 on the land and 209.5 for the building.
So you're
That's what's on
giving,
there,
you're
right?
giving virtually a value of $30,000 odd for the land, an acre.
Well, I don't think that's how it comes up.
Just about, sir. That's correct.
Ballpark number, that's all I'm saying, ballpark number.
Right, yeah, it's based on our sales within that area on land.
Well, regular land out that way doesn't pay like that, but I know the lots do.
Yes, sir. And these are lots on that road, they're all right at 5
And
acres.
I know exactly where this is, I got a friend who lives out in that area.
Yes, sir.
I know exactly where this is. I just,
Okay. Jimmy?
My question's kind of being answered, but the other questions, that was you said 391 from that?
So 391 was what her realtor came up with as an average.
What was 391, just 391?
Specifically, 391, 352
352?
was what her realtor came up with.
Okay.
So what did he value the land?
There wasn't a breakdown between land and building.
Okay.
Overall, we're trying to find out what the reasonable value would be if it would sell on the market as a whole unit. And our land values did come from land sales. And then we do a market adjustment based on improved sales of similar properties, other mobile homes within that area to get a modifier to adjust it. So that's how the overall value was determined.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure can. You were next on my list.
You're a good man. On these other parcels, talking about equal, the one beside it and the one, across from it, that's in this neighborhood, I would assume, they look about the same size. Are those all basically maybe 4 to 5 acre lots? I don't know.
Hey, Mark, we can't hear you. Do you mind to
Oh.
talk? It's okay. Will y'all make sure your mic's on, because it is a little hard to hear you guys.
Nope.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry about that.
I'm sorry, sir, are we referring to Huey Road? As far as
Yes.
the parcel size on Huey Road?
Yeah.
I don't have that information in front of me, I apologize.
Mark, they are. You can tell by just visually looking, they are all fairly the same size,
And that's what I'm saying.
approximately.
That's my guess.
Yes.
And I was just wondering what the land value and value you have on those,
They would be,
is it in line or not?
yes, it would be in line.
It
It
is.
would all- And that, the owner owns the one across the road to the south of her. And
What number
she's-
is that? 30, last digit, 30?
Number 54.
Number 54.
And that's 3 lots she had combined in the farm program. So she owned, that was 3 different lots that would have been equitable with the other ones, but they had been combined. So, because she has, I think, sheep or some animals on there. She owned all of those. The reason that one's larger is she has combined it. But yes, the other ones, you can tell just looking at it visually, they're
So it's all 3 of them that she owns. So she could, or is it possible to,
They're still,
cut?
yes, they're still deeded. I mean, originally they were 3 lots. She's combined them. She had a lawyer come in and
Got
draw
it.
up a legal deed and had it recorded so she could get the benefit getting to the farm program.
Okay.
Yep. But that one's different.
so the land value on basically every lot up towards Lancaster Highway is virtually the same, is what you're telling me. That's your value.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, Jim?
Mr. Chairman, as I peruse these numbers this morning, the county has assessed at 398 We have some data indicating that, you know, roughly, what an agent gave was $391, $352. A difference of $6,648. If we were to split that in half, it'd be $33.24. And then if we were to add that to the $391, $352, would give a total of $394, $676. So I'll make a motion that we raise the value at $394, $676.
So I have that motion. I have a second.
Second.
Have a second. All those in favor, say aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion's carried to adjust to that number. 394,
$394, $676.
all right.
Can we make that as a motion, 394, 700, it's going to round in the system, just even 700?
That is good by me.
Or 600.
Let's make a motion,
I will accept that amendment to the motion.
Second.
Thank you.
Might have gotten out of order just a little bit, but Ms. Springer, I'll give you the opportunity to speak one more time, if you'd like to come.
In due respect, Reverend Benton, I didn't think we were going to look at that. I had 2 comments, really 3, to make on that Realtor's value.
Right.
One of them was sent with my appeal. And Huey Road, which Zillow doesn't know, Redfin doesn't know, none of those values that the Realtor did, and there was some big ranges. I don't know if you still have you don't have the copy, I don't think, but did you have this one? There was a range of 465, the highest value they used in this, had a range of 414 to 517. And 414 would have been more in line with what I had. So I didn't dive into this, but this is Huey Road. This was in the appeal. It happened in September of 2024. It still looks like this today after we put $20,000 into the road. It washed out again. The other thing that happened, and it is this year, but I don't know that this really matters because Meadowwoods Hunt Club has been around for decades. They're behind my property, and the lot that is adjacent to mine, which is on the creek, to the purple picture there, I got an email from Scott Gooch, who owns that. My property listed at approximately $500,000 generated immediate interest from several potential buyers, which I'm only aware of one that knew the realtor that listed it from out of town. I met them. It went under contract fast. It did, 3 days. They offered $475, and then they backed out. They backed out because on Friday, I said, come back on Friday. Because she said, what would you tell me? I said, you need to know 2 things. You need to know Huey Road's a private road. All the maintenance is up to us. And you can look at the road and see what condition it's in. And then secondly, run your errands on Friday because there's so much gunfire and noise, you don't want to be around. And they heard it and they pulled their offer. Zillow doesn't know that. Redfin doesn't know that. You have to be there. They've only had 2 showings since he put the property on the market, and both were from people out of town. One was from the realtor who listed it, and the other one was from a realtor who he brought over to walk through the property that may have had someone out of town interested. Nobody locally is looking at that property. And that's all I was going to say about
Okay.
this value of the $391. And I do want you to have the paper, if you would, so you can see how the comps were on an average of 465, and it probably should have been 414.
Okay. Thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Springer. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, can I speak to that?
Yes, I was going to ask the county, yeah.
So there's 2 quick points to that. And the first one is I'm going to see if I can I actually have included in the packet a picture of the road and where it has deteriorated. And so I'll kind of narrow in there. And you can kind of see that there is definitely some washout, but there is continued access to the road. Unfortunately, it is a private road, which is supposed to be maintained by the homeowners. But there is the scenario that Ms. Springer is referring to. As far as the Hunt Club, that's actually a material fact which should be shared right up front by the listing agent on any property. So any buyers that approach that particular property should know right out of the gate that there is a Hunt Club across the street. I'm not quite sure if that was the case or not, but that obviously played a role in this particular buyer. But there's no data that supports a hunting club and whether or not it affects property value. If there is, we definitely would provide that.
Okay,
That's it.
thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask County one question on
Yeah.
that? If you would get the map spread out so I can see those
Yes, sir.
lots she owns?
Yes, sir.
My question is, what's the land value for those 2 lots? And how many acres does she have that the county has on it?
That she's combined to the south of her.
Yeah.
I went into that with the owner, Ms. Springer. I can't recall off the top of my head, but it said a very reduced rate because she was asking for that same rate as she had on that one. And said the only way we could make it equitable is you take it out of the farm use program and then it would be valued back, you know.
But the county should have a value on it anyway.
We do have a value on it.
Market value.
It's going to be much less because it's a larger tract.
Well, I can see that. Yeah.
Per acre,
Right.
much less per acre, I should say.
But it has a nice pond on it, doesn't it?
It does.
It's nice.
Does she own 34 and 54 or just 54?
She would have to answer that. I know she owns 54. I'm not sure about 34. Ms. Springer would have to speak to
Ms.
that.
Springer, do you own, on the same side of the road, do you own that parcel too? The one that ends
It
in
has a-
034?
Yeah, those parcels. Which
So
one?
my original purchase,
You
no,
own-
that is Scott Gooch.
Yeah,
and
that's all
he-
I need to know.
Which
okay.
one was it?
You own this one and that one.
I own, yes, I own, yeah, they combined it into 5-4. I'd be curious what for, the other one that's next to me, what that one shows on county value, because that's just 5 acres, that's not, all of mine were 5 acres as well. And could I just say one thing about the picture of the road?
Yeah.
So if you can pull the picture back up. I think it's important, that's
Yeah.
why.
Here we go.
Okay.
How's that?
That's great, thank you, Nick.
You're welcome.
All right, so do you see how it kind of bubbles out from where the road, after the driveway and before? You see
Yeah.
how, okay, I want you to be aware that all of that was done by my neighbors by hand.
Good. Okay.
And we do not have garbage trucks going across that right now because we really don't know if it would support a truck. Mail person comes, but not garbage. No big trucks because we're afraid it's going to collapse.
I
It was
agree.
all done by hand, so
I
I
agree.
just think
Okay.
that's important.
Okay, thank you.
I have one question for the county. All the other comparables, I believe they're on paved roads, correct? They appear to be from the pictures.
I believe you're right, sir.
Most
Huh?
of them are, I'm familiar with
Road.
quite a few of them.
Potter Road's a paved road.
Rocky River,
Rocky River's a paved road.
I believe you're correct.
And it seems to me there need to be some kind of adjustment for being on a private road. That's- And I know this road, this
Only
road's.
thing I think you
this
get
road's
into there, I
horrible.
mean,
This road's horrible.
yeah, it would call for an adjustment on all of it,
Yeah.
because you'd have to be.
They should
equitable.
be, they
Yeah.
should be adjusting all of them, in my opinion, but if people don't ask, they don't get adjusted.
Right, right. Okay, so noted. I mean, any further questions? I think we're about done here, so, okay. We could have the county look at that, if you would, I mean, we've already made the decision on this particular tab, you know. I mean, I don't know if
We've
we
already
can,
voted.
yeah, I don't know if we can do anything further,
Yeah, I just have a hard time.
I don't-
It's just me who's having a hard time.
in case we get into a specific.
If you wanted to make a change, Mr. Chairman, you'd have to make a vote to rescind your previous decision.
Right,
I wouldn't waste our time.
yeah.
I
think
mean,
we're
she
good.
tried to sell the lot
Yeah.
beside it for
Yeah.
500.
Okay,
Didn't, you know,
okay. We're good at this point? Okay,
I'm good.
okay.
I'm good.
Okay,
I don't like it, but I'm the one person who don't
right,
like it.
okay,
And that's okay.
all right. Madam Clerk,
All right.
so we'll go back to,
Yes, so we will be going back to hearing number 1. The taxpayer is not present today.
Okay.
That was for parcel number 08.
Well, that's an easy decline.
048007C for the taxpayer of 5B Properties LLC.
okay. What's the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion, we accept the county's value on it.
Okay, there's a motion second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, so the motion is carried. And
35 minutes extra to get here.
it looks like we have tab 3.
So the last one we have is hearing number 3, which have all been settled already. And that's the staff recommendations.
Motion to accept staff recommendations, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Have a motion, second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion is carried to accept all the presented staff recommendations. So, any other business that needs to come before the board?
When's our next meeting, Mr. Chairman?
When is our next meeting?
The next meeting is next Monday,
Okay,
which is May 19th.
okay.
Wednesday, excuse me.
So
Wednesday.
no meeting on Monday.
No meeting on Monday.
No meeting.
No, let me change my calendar.
Okay. With that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Second.
Aye.
Okay,
Good job.
Aye.
we are adjourned. Okay.